I still remember the exact words my mother said the day my family erased me from my grandfather's legacy. "Just move on, Emily. It's done." 3 words. 3 words that destroyed what little faith I had left in my family. But here's what she didn't know. 6 months later, I would find a letter hidden inside an old wooden toolbox. And that letter would expose a lie so big it would tear my entire family apart. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 36 years old, and I live in Denver, Colorado, where I work as a senior project manager for a construction company. What happened to me started long before the inheritance. It started the day I was born. I was the scapegoat child. My cousin Tyler was the golden child, and everyone in my family acted like that was perfectly normal. Growing up, I spent every summer at my grandfather's ranch outside Fort Collins. His name was Walter Carter. He was one of those old-school men who believed your character mattered more than your words. He wasn't rich by billionaire standards, but he owned several hundred acres of valuable land, rental properties, and a successful agricultural supply business he had built from scratch. To me, he was simply Grandpa. He taught me how to fix fences, how to drive a truck, how to balance a budget, how to keep my word. When I was 10 years old, he handed me a broken pocket watch and said something I'll never forget. Most people spend their lives waiting for someone else to save them. Don't be one of those people. I carried that lesson with me for years. Meanwhile, my cousin Tyler got everything handed to him. Tyler was 2 years older than me. My Aunt Karen treated him like he was royalty. My parents treated him the same way. If Tyler got a B in school, everyone celebrated. If I got straight A's, nobody cared. If Tyler wrecked a truck, it was a mistake. If I forgot to wash a dish, it became a family discussion. The favoritism was obvious. Everyone knew it. Nobody admitted it. When Grandpa noticed it, he tried to compensate. He attended my graduations. He called every week. He showed up when nobody else did. After college, I built my own life. I earned a business degree. I worked 2 jobs. I paid my own student loans. Eventually, I moved to Denver and started climbing my career ladder. During those years, Grandpa and I stayed close. I called him every Sunday. Sometimes we'd talk for 5 minutes, sometimes for an hour. As he got older, those calls became more important. One afternoon, when I was 32, he said something unusual. "Emily, promise me something." "What?" "When I'm gone, don't let people tell you who you are." I laughed. "That's random." "No," he said quietly. "It's important." I didn't understand what he meant. Not then. 4 years later, Grandpa passed away. A heart attack, 82 years old. The funeral was packed. People talked about what a generous man he was, how respected he was, how successful he was. Everyone cried. Everyone pretended to be devastated. But within a week, the real battle started. The inheritance. I wasn't expecting millions. Honestly, I expected very little. I just assumed Grandpa would divide things fairly. He always seemed like that kind of man. Then we gathered in an attorney's office. My parents, my Aunt Karen, Tyler, a few other relatives. The attorney opened a folder and began reading. At first, everything sounded normal. Then my stomach dropped. The ranch, to Tyler, the business, to Tyler, the rental properties, to Tyler, nearly everything, to Tyler. I received $10,000. $10,000, out of an estate worth several million. I remember staring at the attorney, certain I'd heard something wrong. But I hadn't. The room was silent. Then Tyler smiled, actually smiled. My Aunt Karen looked pleased. My mother wouldn't even make eye contact with me. I felt sick. Not because of the money, because it made absolutely no sense. This was the man who spent decades telling me how proud he was. The man who called every week. The man who told me I was the only grandchild who visited consistently. None of it matched. Afterward, I approached the attorney. "There has to be another version." He shook his head. "No." I drove home crying. The next day, I called my mother. "Did Grandpa ever mention changing his will?" No. Does any of this seem strange to you? Her voice hardened immediately. Emily. Stop. Stop what? Acting entitled. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm not acting entitled. Your cousin got the inheritance. Move on. There it was. Move on. As if losing the last meaningful connection to my grandfather was some minor inconvenience. Over the next few weeks, things got worse. Tyler started acting like he owned the world. He posted photos from the ranch online, photos of Grandpa's truck, Grandpa's workshop, Grandpa's land, captions like, continuing the family legacy, the same family legacy he barely participated in. The same grandfather he visited maybe twice a year. I finally stopped answering family calls, stopped attending gatherings, stopped trying. If they wanted Tyler, they could have him. I focused on my own life, work, friends, building my future. Then another betrayal arrived, one I never saw coming. My husband left me. His name was Mark. We'd been married 7 years. One evening he sat me down at our kitchen table. I've been seeing someone. Just like that. No warning, no apology. Nothing. The woman? One of my friends, a woman we'd had dinner with dozens of times. The divorce devastated me. Within a year, I'd lost my grandfather, my inheritance, my marriage, and most of my family. I felt completely alone. There were nights I sat in my apartment, wondering if maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe there was something wrong with me, but eventually survival took over. I started therapy. I worked harder. I accepted a promotion. Then another. 3 years passed. Slowly my life improved. I bought a home. I rebuilt my confidence. I created a life that belonged to me. Then something happened that changed everything. One Saturday morning, I received a phone call. It was from an old ranch employee named Hank. He'd worked for Grandpa for over 30 years. Emily, he said, I found something. What? Something that belonged to your grandfather. A week later, I drove to Fort Collins. Hank met me at an old storage building. Inside was Grandpa's workshop equipment, tools, cabinets, boxes, things nobody had touched since his death. Hank handed me a small wooden toolbox. This was hidden behind a cabinet. Inside were old receipts, notes, and photographs. Then I saw an envelope. My name was written across the front. Emily. My hands started shaking. I opened it carefully. The letter was dated 8 months before Grandpa died. And as I read it, everything changed. The first line nearly stopped my heart. Emily, if you're reading this, something has gone very wrong. I sat down immediately. The letter continued. Grandpa explained that he'd recently updated his estate plans. He wrote that he intended to divide assets between me and several family members, including Tyler, but not exclusively Tyler. Then came the sentence that changed everything. He wrote that he was concerned someone might attempt to pressure him into changing documents while his health declined. He specifically mentioned my Aunt Karen. I reread that section 3 times. My hands were trembling. Attached to the letter was something else. A copy of a previous estate document, signed, witnessed, dated. Very different from the version we had been shown. I immediately contacted an attorney, a real estate and probate attorney. She reviewed everything, then she looked up. This is significant. How significant? Potentially very significant. An investigation followed, a long one, an expensive one, and an ugly one. What investigators eventually uncovered was almost unbelievable. During Grandpa's final year, my Aunt Karen had arranged meetings with another attorney. There were questions about Grandpa's mental capacity during portions of that period. Questions about signatures. Questions about witnesses. Questions about who was present. The deeper investigators dug, the worse things became. Eventually, evidence surfaced showing certain documents had been executed under highly questionable circumstances. The probate court reopened portions of the estate dispute. For the first time, Tyler looked nervous. For years, he'd acted untouchable. Now reality was catching up. Court proceedings lasted nearly a year. I won't pretend it was easy. My family called me greedy, vindictive, selfish. They claimed I was attacking Grandpa's memory. I ignored all of it, because, for the first time, I wasn't fighting for money. I was fighting for truth. Eventually, the court issued its ruling. Several estate transfers were invalidated. Assets were redistributed. The process was complex, but the outcome was clear. The version of events my family had sold everyone was false. The fallout was brutal. Tyler had already borrowed heavily against properties he thought were permanently his. The business was struggling. Several loans came due. Financial pressure exploded. My Aunt Karen faced legal consequences and massive financial liabilities. Relationships inside the family completely collapsed. People who had spent years protecting each other suddenly turned against one another. The empire they thought they'd secured started crumbling. And then came the moment I never expected. My mother called. For the first time in almost 4 years, I almost didn't answer, but I did. Her voice sounded older, smaller. "We need help." I closed my eyes. There it was, the moment I'd imagined 1,000 times. The people who abandoned me, the people who told me to move on. Now they needed me. I asked one question. Why? She started crying because Tyler couldn't save them, because the money was disappearing, because the family was falling apart, because they finally understood what they'd destroyed. Then she said something that stunned me. "We should have listened to your grandfather." I didn't respond, because there wasn't much left to say. The truth was, I wasn't angry anymore. Not the way I used to be. Time had changed that. Therapy had changed that. Successes had changed that. I realized something important. The best revenge had never been taking anything from them. The best revenge was building a life that no longer depended on their approval. I didn't need their validation. I didn't need their inheritance. I didn't need them to admit I mattered, because I already knew I did. Today I still live in Denver. I still work in construction management. I own my home. I have friends who feel more like family than many relatives ever did. And every Sunday, I think about Grandpa, especially one lesson, the one he taught me when I was 10 years old. Don't spend your life waiting for someone else to save you. For years, I thought the hidden letter changed everything. But looking back, that's not true. The letter revealed the truth. The real change happened when I stopped begging people to love me the way I deserved. The moment I stopped chasing approval from people committed to misunderstanding me. The moment I chose myself. If you're watching this and you've spent your life being the scapegoat, hear me carefully. Some people will never see your worth, not because you lack value, because admitting your value would force them to confront their own failures. And many people would rather protect a lie than face the truth. Let them. Build your life anyway. Move forward anyway. Heal anyway. Because one day, the people who underestimated you will have to live with the consequences of their choices, and you'll be too busy living your life to care. That's the kind of karma that lasts forever.